Hey everyone, just when you thought the unbelievable that was believable, it's even more unbelievable, but it's still believable. Wait till you have a look at the rest of this injector job, the filth here, and then we'll recap the top 5 or 10 problems with this injector replacement job. Okay, so these were new injectors less than 10,000 kilometers ago. I've included the paperwork. Let's just pop that in there now. $4,979 for this. Correct procedure replacing injectors is in the Toyota Workshop Manual, Global Services. When replacing the injector, you must replace the fuel pipe in bold writing. So if the job isn't done right, if you've taken it to a reputable Toyota dealership and they don't do the job right, personally, I believe you're entitled to a full refund because you didn't really get what you paid for. Now, everybody knows with diesels, cleanliness is next to godliness if you want to keep it running right. And the state of these injector seats and how they haven't been cleaned, that's the seating surface inside the head where these injectors are inserted into, has not been cleaned. So as a matter of luck, you can see down the bottom side of this washer. Now, let me explain for people that don't watch the videos. I'd highly recommend subscribe, turn the bell on. And if this is a surprise to you, you might want to get into the injector information playlist on our YouTube channel and get yourself educated. So the seating area where these have got an opportunity to seal, we're talking combustion, right? Normal combustion pressures, heat and all that sort of thing. The only area this injector's got to seal is from that edge right there, the taper. It's about 2 millimeters wide, right? So that doesn't really give much opportunity. And if you've got dirt and mess crud like this, basically in the way of things. Now I've given them a wipe clean. So this is cleaner than what the mess they would have been placed on top of, but I've actually already wiped them clean, but I want to demonstrate a bit. I've only got one hand with the camera and one hand. You can't clean this crusty stuff off. That needed to be cleaned out of the ports of the head. Now look at this next one here. Look how filthy that is. You can see at the top, by luck, see it's clean at the top there. See the seating area. It's from the edge of that taper right on the edge of my fingernail, right there, okay? And it goes down another 2 millimeters. Look around this side, just filthy again. That's the consistent thing, absolutely filthy. Next one, same thing, no difference. Whoever did this job, they don't know what cleaning is. Can you imagine what their house is like? Probably never been vacuumed, floors never been mopped, showers never been cleaned. The mold's probably 5 millimeters thick. Bloody disgusting, right? Now look, this one by chance, there's a bit of luck, there's a bit of cleanliness going. You're getting the picture with what these are meant to look like. When we do injector replacement job, and as we've been educating for everyone for over 10 years now, this needs to be Mickey Mouse clean, because what happens if it's not clean? These are not going to last the distance. What will happen, most likely with a set of seats like this, premature failure. When these seats leak, then the compression gases get past that washer, they come up here, they take out the O-ring here, the rubber O-ring, which stops the oil coming down from this oil gallery area here. Then, of course, it can, because the heat has damaged the O-ring, it goes hard like plastic, it cracks, then the oil comes down, it gets to here. Compression's still continuing to go up the injector, and it bakes all this oil that's down here into crusty little pieces of carbon. And it also pushes it back up, and it bubbles its way back out into the oil system and ends up back at your sump blocking the oil pickup. This is the exact problem that we want to avoid on all diesel engines, particularly the Toyotas, with this setup where the oil is here, right, and it can come down there when these seats leak. Now, this is not an injector problem. This is not a design problem. This is a people not doing the maintenance problem and people working on vehicles not doing the maintenance correctly that's going to cause problems, okay? So this is really bad, okay? So not happy, Jan. And if you remember, this will be number 1 injector, as you can see, with that broken solenoid. Right, that's how it came in. Look, let's just about lift that off. There's bloody, that little holding it. Let's have a look, good look in there, right? What is going on there, right? Have a good look around, yeah? Happy days. Mate, you'd be real happy if you spent $5,000 and this is what you got, right? Check the other video. There's a whole heap of other problems. Let's try and remember what they all were. Now, in that video, we saw one of the injectors come out with a piece of tape, not a small debris, a massive piece of electrical tape that's wrapped around the split corrugated tubing of the injector wiring that's meant to be up outside the engine. It was down wrapped around one of these injectors, okay? It's in the other video. Unbelievable. I mean, how does that happen? You saw different bolts on the injector return line, okay? Fair's fair. Could have been anyone, but at some stage, I guess somebody's probably over-tightened that bolt. We don't know who did that. Could be just coincidence. All those little return line gaskets all snapped off. Like, it's just a real butcherous job, to be quite honest. The injector pipes were not replaced, okay? When replacing the injectors, you must replace the fuel pipes. You must clean the ports. You must lubricate the O-ring so that it goes down in the port without getting twisted and pulled up like that, because that's the other thing that happens. And then what happens? Oil will leak straight past it down here, which isn't as big a problem. That doesn't cause these to leak. But if they wanted oil to be coming all the way down, then they just wouldn't have this O-ring here, would they? And they do have an O-ring there. The engineers designed it that way for a reason. So stick to the original engineering. Unless we've got that much evidence and practice and experience over decades that what's happening on the ground is different to what they thought was going to happen, sometimes that's the only variable. And I can confirm that having the O-ring in place is the best option, stopping the oil from coming down ideally. One of the good reasons would be, if this is full of oil down here, when you go to do an injector replacement job and you pull the injectors out, all this oil, it's going to all run down because it's going to be full of oil in here. It's going to run down and go into the cylinder. You might not know that. You might not have watched my videos. You might not be thinking. And you might not know that you can't compress liquids. You can compress air, not liquids, right? So if there's a lot of oil down in there, what's going to happen next time someone cranks over the engine, tries to start it up? Well, it might be okay. You might be lucky, like this vehicle was lucky until it's not so lucky at the moment. It's getting a lot luckier at the moment. The new engine's in the vehicle and it's all going back together, but people need to see what goes down here and understand, yes, this was at a Toyota dealership and this is not a one-off. We see, I'm not even going to say dozens or hundreds or whatever. It's just time and time again. It doesn't matter. We're not picking on Toyota dealerships. It's just everywhere in general, all workshops. There's way too much substandard work going on. So if anybody that runs a decent workshop or would like to, you can pay me exorbitant amount of money and I'll come out and do some training with your people so that they don't do rubbish work like this, because this is absolutely ridiculous. Look, while we're picking on the injector replacement job in general, we might as well mention things like those clamps that go over the fuel lines. You know, the little two-piece clamps that clamp between probably number 2 and number 3 fuel pipe. Instead of being in the correct position, they were around the bend at the EGR cooler. One of them was rubbing on the EGR cooler itself. Eventually, it would have been punctured. Those EGR coolers are nearly $1,000 worth. And then you've got the reliability issue on top of that, the loss of coolant and the amount of labour involved to change it, including removing the fuel pipes, which is another risk of contamination to the injectors. You do not want to put dirty old fuel pipes, which they did, up to your brand new injectors. Again, the risk of contamination, again, back to that workshop manual, global services, correct procedure. Careful working on the fuel system, because guess what? Very high risk of contamination and then having problems. You know, these things, very small, tight tolerances, and they need to be kept very clean or they're not going to work right. And, you know, people are just going to be back there again, redoing jobs all over again. Not good. Now, I could be wrong about the fuel pipes being replaced. So let's have a quick look at them. Now, the invoice doesn't say anything about fuel pipes. So I don't believe the fuel pipes have been replaced. Do these look like they've done less than 10,000 kilometres to you? No, that's right. They don't, do they? They're badly stained. They've been around for bloody they look like they're about 16 years old to me, right? So there's one. Right, new engine, new injectors, new fuel pipes. So that's number 3 fuel pipe. This is number 4 fuel pipe. You know, a lot of nuts and bolts, wrong nuts and bolts on the job, right? See this? You know, all this, you can't even see the crud. I've shown it in other videos. It builds up around these these nuts, because they go into the valve cover, right? So let's just go to the engine quickly and show you where that fuel pipe goes. Here's the old engine, right? And this is, you know, on the invoice it said new nozzle seals. That's one of them, right? I mean, look, what's going on there with that seal? Like, you know, I've seen them chopped out before and all sorts of things, but that doesn't look like it's in very good condition to me. So I don't know what went on with that one. But my point of this part of the video is, this is where the fuel pipes go to the injectors, through in there. And what happens is, a lot of debris collect up in there because that's the top of the engine. This engine, a 120 Prado, like a Hilux, has got a top mount intercooler. It's got a bug catcher. It catches bugs, dirt, dust, sand. It all comes down through that intercooler straight down onto top of this valve cover, and all the debris, they collect up right there in that hole, don't they? Of course they do. That's why you can see the stain of the corrosion from when someone's washed the engine and they haven't washed all the degreaser off properly. This can all be included in my training lesson. Basic stuff. Wash an engine down, give it a good clean, but I'll tell you what, give it a good bloody rinse off and dry it off too, please. Rinse it off before you dry it. Don't just leave degreaser in there. Anyway, that tide mark, you can see the tide mark, and that gives you a good idea of the level of dirt that could be filled up in there with the dirt and water. So what happens when you turn that nut? All those debris, where do you reckon they go? Well, the injectors aren't there at the moment, but they go straight into the injector inlets. There's your contamination. Bada bing, bada boom. What a waste of time that would be. Anyway, there's heaps of problems with this injector job, and that is just making me sick that somebody's spent $5,000. It didn't include fuel pipes. It didn't get an EGR clean. It didn't get a new map filter. We can supply all the parts and do the whole job cheaper than that at the Prado Hospital. Includes an EGR clean, injector replacement. We just do it properly. Hospital grade. I mean, look, there's the floor, mate, you know? Right, there's the dirty old engine crane. I mean, this is dirty here. These are the dirty old injectors out of the engine, but it'll all get cleaned up soon. You get my drift, you know? And there's a lot of variables. You want a manifold cleaner, it's going to cost more. I'm not here to sell you work. I mean, we can't do them all. But the people that are doing them need to do it right. And that's why I say subscribe, turn the bell on, watch the videos, get in the VIP group on Facebook, learn about your vehicle, learn about your engine, do the injector replacement yourself, or go to one of our workshop partners in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Perth, whatever. Get your injector kits Monday morning, 7:30 a.m. I'll be waiting for your text message next Monday, 7:30. Catch you then. Stay tuned on the Prado Hospital Facebook page in case we're closing up for those Victorian school holidays to take a break, and other times we also take a break, close down for cleanup, maintenance, catching up with some work, and you won't get hold of us sometimes because we're just catching up with it all. Stay tuned to the videos and the Prado Hospital Facebook page. I don't think I can add anything else more to that, can I? All right, everybody, you can go now. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button and we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good evening.